Well, the first game we got is Avadon 3, The Warborn, retro isometric fantasy-style Western RPG with tactical turn-based combat. You play as a hand of Avadon, an agent of your homeland with almost limitless discretion. Features a branching storyline with multiple endings. You can be a saver or a traitor. 5 different character classes with unique capabilities. Now, the studio is Spiderweb Software. It's a small independent company based out of Seattle, Washington, founded in 1994. They specialize in retro-style isometric games with unique worlds and complex narratives. They've developed over 20 games, including the Geneforge series and Nethergate. This is Avadon 3.
All right, so there's obviously a lot to say about this game just by looking at it, from the great graphic arts that we can see all the way to the retro aspect that may be kind of something that throws gamers off. But I also think there's a niche for it. There's definitely a niche for that market. Can we get any initial thoughts? And I'm gonna call on Chris Natsume to give any first impressions that you have based on watching this trailer. Chris, what's your first thought?
I'll tell you one thing, and this is not a direct comment on this particular game, but on the genre. I am so excited to see the world loving isometric again. I can remember, the first MMO I got into was, I was a beta tester for the original Ultima Online. And I remember how much fun it was and how great it was. And I remember being able to see my character on screen and having, that character interact with other people and see the world from that sort of that isometric bird's eye view. And I remember there was the point at which, suddenly we could play games in, the over-the-shoulder view or something, and that started looking good. And it was like once the industry had a hammer, everything was a nail. Everything had to be built like that. And I'm just so happy to see gamers sort of finding isometric again and getting back into isometric and getting back into this more sort of strategic view. I love these kind of games.
What do you think? How do you explain the comeback?
I think what's been fun for me to watch as a grumpy old man making games is watching the kids find stuff that we used to do. And I think there's a lot of this sort of retro stuff, and obviously if you want to make your game look retro, use pixel art, and that looks great. But I think people are beginning to discover that it wasn't just the crappy graphics that made old games good. There were game design theories that were good, and one of them was being able to look down over this sort of Ultima-like view of the universe. And I think people are just sort of rediscovering these old gems of gaming, and I'm always excited to see somebody use ISO again.
Kate, you seem to be in total agreement with this.
Yeah, I am. Because I've been a fan of isometric views since Zaxxon in the arcades back in high school, and in the crappy Return of the Jedi game. But yeah, I think isometric there's a lot of power in it. It's a nice kind of compromise between sort of first person ish, which it's not really, but. Yeah, thought it's really cool. So it's in terms of what we actually saw, some of the intro artwork actually looked really good. The actual character movement on the screen, it's okay, but I don't know how much of a work in progress it is or not. But,
yeah. I think it's not an early access title, but it's definitely I think it's coming out in full release. Aaron, you also a fan of the isometric style? We got you back on webcam. You seem to be. Can you hear us?
We have an Aaron down.
Aaron down.
I think I think we've got an Aaron down. Is it also the type of, because it's
I'm definitely a fan of isometric. Yeah.
He's back. He's here. We got him.
Dig it down.
It's also been, I think.
You can't hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Mm-hmm. Can you hear us?
I think he's on a delay. Might be listening to Twitch audio instead of this.
Oh. Wait, it's cut off.
It's also been, I think it's been a. It's made a surprising return. Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us? And he's got a little bit of a connection issue, I think.
Just a little bit.
Just a tad.
Just a tad.
Something's wrong.
I mean, I'm always happy to see retro shows come back. It kind of makes me feel good. All those years I tell kids, oh, you guys don't know what I was like back in the day. So it kind of makes me feel good.
Yeah, this actually reminded me a lot of Neverwinter Nights. Back when I was a kid, loved the old isometric D&D series. And yeah, I thought you were actually going to mention Neverwinter Nights for AOL. I know Ultima Online definitely was, there. But that's what really just, that was my first MMO. It was amazing. And I was surprised how much they just kept shipping the same thing, and I totally ate it up. And the systems, I mean, it's D&D with, your dungeon masters, on the computer. So it was always rad for me as a kid. And looking at these guys on Steam, I had no idea they've been basically following the same pattern that D&D did for years. So I'm actually stoked to go back and look at their back catalog. Because it seems they've just had this thing, like it's Avadon 3. I was like, where's 1 and 2? How have I ever heard of it? And yeah, it's like even before that, they have something that sounds similar. So it's pretty cool.
Zeno?
Well, this reminds me of Baldur's Gate and those old RPGs. But actually, I can't say that I'm a fan of isometric games. I'm a fan of good RPG games. If the story is epic, I don't mind the graphics. I don't mind the sound design, even bad voiceovers. If the story is epic, which is the main focus of RPG games. So will Avadon live to be an epic game? I don't know. But it looks cool.
Well, to be fair, it does say epic right there in the description.
Yeah, it says it. It can't lie.
True,
I mean, come on.
They were very clear that this story was epic, so I think you're good then, right?
Pretty much.